where Elden Ring does lose me a little bit is with a lot of the asset reuse.
Yeah, me too. That's a fair criticism.
It's the samey looking
mainly
dungeons and the reuse of bosses. In particular, the one that was really egregious to me is
Astel.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one
sucked.
That one's ridiculous.
Like but also the thing is, it's a big enough game anyway. We don't need 10 of the same thing. Like all of the individual assets of like just bosses alone, they have so much game. They don't need.
That game genuinely could have probably been about like 40% smaller and been just as tight and rewarding an experience.
And it still would have been just as big and just as beloved. What the heck is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the CRUBCAST. That's right, the show where it always gets worse. Yay. My name is Nico, aka All Hail Buckets. I am here today with Brody Rackrocks. Brody, say hi.
Hello!
And Sean. Sean, say hi. Sean Wolf KO-san.
Hi, it's me, Wolf KO-san / Sean. Hi.
It sure is. And folks, today we will be talking about a very special topic to all three of us, and I'm going to pass it to Brody to explain what that is. Brody?
Thank you, Nico. I noticed today that it was going to be us three on this episode, and I thought, what a better time to do a Souls-focused episode, because we are three people that like to talk about it, and the rest of Crub does not like when the three of us talk about it, and they can't do anything about it this week. Ah-ha-ha. So, I thought to myself, what should we do? How do we do a Souls episode? We want to talk about it. We want to talk about how much we love it, all the things that you know, could... We would do differently maybe, and all of these different things, and there were so many angles, and I thought, you know what? I want to throw it to the viewers. I want to throw it to our audience. I want to get their hot takes, and I want to react to what other people think. I initially thought, hey, common criticisms, common praises, let's just discuss the beats, but I would rather, I don't want it to be common. I want it to be personal to us and to our audience. And so today, we have amassed a plethora of hot takes here that we are going to discuss. We're going to go through, some are praising the games, some are criticizing the games, some are sort of in between, some are talking about different gameplay elements and all these different things. And so we're going to kind of go through them a little bit point by point. I'll be reading off all of them, but we won't be literally addressing every single one necessarily, because some sort of are able to be consolidated, are able to be tackled at once. Because there are common opinions and common threads that pop up. We're gonna start. Actually, let me get the Google form back up. I don't know why I closed it.
Why would you do that?
Well, I have everything in a Google Doc here, but I want to start us off with some just an interesting little bit of statistics here. Because I asked everyone who put this in. I said, hey, what FromSoft games have you played? And I wanted to see the spread of our audience and where they were at. The overwhelmingly, the number one game played with 70% of our audience having played it was Elden Ring.
Yeah, that tracks.
Then, tied for second is a 4-way tie between Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, and Sekiro. That was interesting. All of them at 60%. The rest sort of waning in between, with only 10% playing Night Rain at the bottom. I also had a breakdown of Souls-like games, which we may get to talking about. But I will save that breakdown for when and if we get there. Starting off the bat, though, I want to talk about the atmosphere and the world design of Souls games. The way that they tell a story, the way that they do a narrative, the way that they give you lore, but also create that aesthetic and that sense of that soulsiness that is just so inherent to everything FromSoft touches. Starting off, we have a few takes here. I'm just going to read them off. So we have number one just says, I should mention, I didn't have the forethought to put in a username thing and say, hey, what do we know you by? So I could shout out specifically who said everything. But that actually works in our favor a little bit. I'm still going to be reading these off, so those who sent them in, you know who you are.
Shouts out.
Starting off, thank you to everyone who gave responses, by the way. It turned out fantastic. We got so many. It was awesome. Starting out, we have, I really like the atmosphere of the games. followed by someone else saying, I like the atmosphere and how much the interconnected world aids that.
Okay.
We have someone adding 99% of the time, exploring a Souls zone or level for the first time is truly a breadth of discovery. New biomes, new enemies, new NPCs, new architecture. Getting into a new area never feels dull. And to cap it off for this specific point, someone else has said, I like things like the art direction, handcrafted environments and enemies, vague goals, minimal HUD, and even some of the jank in some of the titles create a holistic experience that makes the player feel immersed in a lovingly made, hostile journey of a stranger in a strange land. That one sounds like it's appealing directly to me, which I like. So these are sort of the positive takes on the atmosphere and world design. And I'm wondering to you two, does that resonate? Because it resonates with me a lot.
Resonates with me too. I think it is rare that I walk into an area of a Souls game and I'm not pleasantly surprised every single time with what I'm going to get, generally speaking. Like, everything is always so good and just so nice. Worlds to live in, worlds that feel lived in.
Absolutely.
And
that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, you know, and also to a certain extent, worlds that are like fantasy, but they have like their own kind of rules and reality, and they're very consistent in that way.
World building, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I saw someone, I think, once say the central conceit of a Souls narrative is, what if we had this story where all of this cool stuff happened, all of these amazing battles take place, and then we jump you 1,000 years into the future, and you're playing that like, after all of that has happened. And I think that's the perfect way of putting it. I love it because you get to discover a world, and with certain exception, right? Nothing is ever hand fed to you, right?
Right.
You are if you are interested, you have the opportunity and the tools to seek out that knowledge. If you're just there to play the game, you could just play the game. You don't have to dive into those things, or you can, watch some YouTuber talk about it for an hour and dissect what it is, and that becomes public consensus for what the story is. And
yeah.
I personally, I love just going in there, and I will, maybe I'm getting some things wrong. Maybe I'm not interpreting things the way that they're meant to, or the way that like public consensus thinks of things. But I like that I get my own sort of personal experience with all of these stories to say like, oh, this is what I'm interpreting. And especially for me personally, when a new one comes out and we're right in the zeitgeist of it and all of my friends are playing it and none of us have any full idea of what's happening, but we're talking to each other about like, oh, what is this? And what does this mean? In particular, in Bloodborne in particular, that there's a moment about halfway into that game where there is a massive sort of tonal shift, and I remember it was so cool because
let's just get it off the bat now. Spoilers for every single Souls game.
right
Yeah,
every single one
inherently, for sure. But there is that moment, and I remember specifically in the first half of the game, my friends and I would talk and we'd be like, oh, it's so cool, Gothic, a Victorian architecture, werewolves, all of these things. But we're noticing things in the background, like, hey, there's these weird statues leading up to the cathedral, and hey, there's this weird, why is there this one random enemy that's just like a squid for no reason, and all of these things. And obviously the game plays its hand at a point, although it does it masterfully by bait and switching you, I feel like, with here's a new area with new things that aren't wolves, now it's a bunch of snakes, and you think, oh, this is what the next section of the game is going to be. And then instead it goes, pulls the rug out from under you and goes, nope, the snakes were a bait and switch. Here's the real stuff. Incredible. Incredible work.
Yeah. I want to go off of a point that you brought up, like, world building and what have you. And you were talking about how you had different interpretations, what have you. And the thing that I really like about Soulsborne games when they come from FromSoft, they also have different interpretations. Like, you get to see the different mythos. Like, for example, Gwyn is supposed to be like, throughout the game, they talk about him being like this god, this great, incredible, character. But once you fight him, once you finally find Gwyn, he's just another hollow. Whenever you learn about Artorias, it's like, oh, he's this great hero and what have you. But then once you really delve into it, it's like, oh, he's actually not. And I think that also kind of coincides with a lot of the mythos and characters that we create in our world, like the legends for Achilles and what have you. I love seeing that in these games because people's literally in all these games, they talk about different characters. They talk about these different legendary creatures. And then you meet them and it's like, oh, the stories aren't exactly fully true, what have you. There's cover-ups and what have you. And all that's there, and it's all within the world itself. And the cool thing about it is I love info dumping. I love world building like that. I grew up on reading Lord of the Rings and then ended up getting like the Silmarillion and really dive deep into that world. And so being able to see these kind of like realities take shape in game form, but like I get to go explore it and figure this stuff out. I love. And again, like you said, sometimes I have wrong interpretations, and sometimes FromSoft just leaves it up for interpretation. FromSoft is like, hey, figure it out. There's like so many different questions that we don't know the answer to. And again, it all comes down to atmosphere because you feel, like you said, it feels lived in. It feels like, despite like a lot of these like apocalyptic cataclysms happen and what have you, we're like, oh, this is awful. Despite all of that, despite there being, scarcity, there's so much to unravel. The world is still alive. It feels like it's not just, oh, there's a couple survivors here or there. No, nothing in these games feels just there for the sake of being there. It's like, oh, we'll just put a body there. Like that body's there for a reason.
Every single thing, every placement, every item placement.
Very meticulous. And I love
100%.
And that goes with their level design too. Even with the level design. The level design, it's like, oh, if you go further down into this, it's like, oh, there's a whole new area that I didn't think of. But there's a lore reason to that. And that's what I love. There's a reason for everything. Sometimes you'll figure out, sometimes you won't. Sometimes you have to, like you said, go on YouTube and find something. But for me, I love exploring random places that I don't know, both in real life and in video games. And so I'm like, I'll just go off the beaten path. And you can do that try to do that in some of these games. And for me, you don't get a lot of those experiences in many other games anymore. It feels too like straightforward. And yeah, don't get me wrong, like Soulsborne games can be linear, but you still can explore them and find different things. There's always a sense of wonder with these games.
Yes, that is a perfect word. The absolute most perfect word I think to use is the sense of wonder, right? And it's like a childlike wonder, right? It's the kind of considerations you would make back when you played other games as a kid, and maybe they were more straightforward, but like you might be stuck on a part forever, and so you would just be thinking about like, why is there a giant pachinko machine in the sky over Delfino Plaza, right? Like little things like that, and it's
like,
ever
explain that.
No, but the reason is obviously the game designers just put it there. It's a bonus level type beat, but as a kid, you're like, what does this mean for the implications of the world? And Souls just leans into that completely and says, go ahead, think about it. Think about why all of this is happening.
And then they release DLC that's like, oh, all of your theories, haha, JK. Here's other stuff that opens it up.
JK.
Right. There's one, and so I think we've covered most of this that is here, but I wanted to pinpoint the one that says exploring a new zone is a breadth of discovery. Because you're getting like you're getting new areas, new enemies. Like, what do the enemies bring? The NPCs and architecture. Like, every area feels distinct, even in a game like Bloodborne, which is so committed to its aesthetic that it is kind of like one color the whole time. Like, you still get areas that feel distinct from one another, right? I don't know. It's incredible. We have some criticisms though as well. We have some hot takes on the atmosphere and world design. We have two here. So the first one says, they're so drab and dreary. Does anyone have a wholesome, nice life in these things? You know what? It's not just that. It's all just gritty and not the fun kind of weird. Even the God of War games would have a change of scenery from time to time. If you were going to make me attack an angry hobo ogre with a samurai sword, let me do it in a colorful world. And to follow that one up, we have another take here that says, I just want more colorful Souls-likes or Souls-likes in franchises I like. Give me Transformers Souls-likes, Rayman Souls-likes, Nickelodeon Souls-likes. interesting, right? I consider these to be
from software.
I don't think it matters. I think they're basically like take my favorite franchises, make them Souls. And right, that is, these games do tend to be bummer coded. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, that does make you think. It's a really good point. Like it is like they are bummer coded.
Oh, absolutely. Like I can't think of many like side quests that ended with a happy ending. Like there's only one I can think of, but they're already dead.
They're bummer coded for the reason, like for thematic reasons. You know what I mean? Like they're bummer coded because the original Dark Souls was like allegedly, and I mean like, or one popular interpretation of the original Dark Souls is that it's an allegory for depression. Like you overcome it by meeting the game on its terms and winning that way. And so, yeah, I guess you're right. Bummer coded is a really, really apt way to describe the visual aesthetic of the world design in these games.
Yeah.
But there are several points at these games where it opens up into like the most beautiful vista you've ever seen. Like, depending
awe-inspiring.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a lot like, and I've had hiking described to me this way. I don't particularly need this in my life, so I don't really hike. But I've had hiking described to me in that it's like you sort of earn the view that you get. Like your goal is to get to like the beautiful vista. And you sort of earn it through hard work of walking up a steep hill and jumping across a waterfall, whatever. And I think that nothing encapsulates that in video game form more than a Souls game, perhaps. So I do think it has beautiful vistas that you, the player, have to earn. But if you're not willing to put in that time and that effort to go do it, understandable.
Right. I think I actually, it's weird that I kind of resonate with what you're saying. And comparing it to hiking, video games in general, right? Comparing it to hiking, where it's like, I remember I would go on hikes as a kid, and I remember like I have fond memories of them, but I know that if I were to go on a hike, I would be like, oh my God, so much bugs. Yeah. Oh my God, this is so tiring. But I think I also play a lot of video games that kind of go towards that aesthetic or go towards that feeling of exploration, because I liked exploring on a hike and going down weird paths and all of these things. And now I get to do it from the safety of behind a controller and not have to deal with bugs unless they're actually... I say that, but then Souls games do tend to have a lot of giant bugs that attack you. So hey,
it's true.
It's true. You don't have to deal with the tactile response of a mosquito biting you. So
they also have digital bugs.
Oh, did you?
Right.
Yeah.
But I think so it's interesting, right? The idea of a colorful Souls-like, and maybe we'll get a little more into it when we talk about Souls-likes down the line. But we've seen some developers try to go that route, right? Like something like another Crab's Treasure that very much wants to be a Souls-like game, but also wants to have this kind of like Scrimblow aesthetic to it, right?
Yeah.
Banjo.
Another
Banjo Soulsborne.
Another Crab's Treasure type beat.
Yeah.
Or even something like Hollow Knight, which does still go for that dreary and drab aesthetic, but so in
a lot more colorful.
Right, a hand-drawn, cartoony way. But what I'll say with regards to Souls specifically is that these are very bummer-coded, gruesome, like oppressive environments. And
like name 3 NPCs that have a happy ending.
God, right. Well, some of them depending on the game, the way you go with them. Like Eileen can, right? Depending on what you're doing.
Yeah.
But like. It's the kind of thing where you also have these characters that are like so psycho from being exposed to all of this that they have this almost gallows humor. They have a gallows humor sort of take on everything where they're laughing constantly, they're making jokes, they're like, hey, if we're gonna live in this world that sucks so much ass, we may as well have fun with it.
Yeah.
And there is so much levity within Souls that I think some people just don't see, right?
Yeah.
Like anything to do with like Siegmeyer and the Dark Souls games, or the big pot guy in Elden Ring. Like there is levity here. There
you
is.
said pop guy, and I'm sorry, but I just immediately thought of Pepsi Man instead.
Jar Man.
Sean, I don't mean to call out your video, but like for the audio listeners at home, Sean opened up a window on his computer, and it looked like he opened up Marcellus Wallace's briefcase.
No, it was the ad on YouTube.
Oh man,
on Twitch.
that's so funny.
But yeah, color in Souls-like games, obviously something that FromSoft doesn't seem particularly keen on exploring themselves, but something that other developers who like a lot of these elements that resonate with certain elements, but maybe not others, have taken and sort of put their own spin and tried to do different things with, which I think is very interesting.
I also for the record, I happen to like the way that the like Depresso coded Souls games look. Like,
I do too.
I happen to like that art style, but like I completely understand for folks who don't.
Yeah, it's like trying to get someone to play an RPG, and it's like, but that looks like anime, and it's like, well, yeah, but like,
yeah.
So I can kind of see it from like the other point of view. It's like, because I've had people say that to me when I'm like, oh yeah, I should play this game. Like, Sean, that just looks like anime, and I don't want to play anime.
Yeah, dude, like Catherine, man, that's like the game Catherine. There's a video game called Catherine, and it's all anime, and it's all anime all the time. But it's a good game. It's like has a really, good story to it, and it's worth checking out. But
so
it is irrelevant.
Yeah, right. So this sort of conversation also takes us into our next batch of takes.
Okay.
Because I feel
what are we
like
looking at?
the aesthetic and the experience that Souls is trying to present to us goes hand in hand with this next bit. We have a bunch of takes that have to do with the biggest elephant in the room when it comes to Souls games, which is the difficulty. And the takes are as follows. We have three of them that say it. So number one, I dislike how much damage enemies can deal. Number two, as I grow older, my interest in pushing through games that are so stressful wanes. And number three, Elden Ring is bloated for how stressful the game is. It takes a lot from Breath of the Wild, but Breath of the Wild is a relaxing game that doesn't punish you too much. In Elden Ring, at the halfway point, I found myself wanting the game to be finished already. I started skipping all of the caves. I don't think the series should go in that direction anymore. And that's a broader topic of discussion that we can get into in a second, but I'd like to just talk about the difficulty in and of itself for a moment, because I am a difficulty defender when it comes to Souls games.
Me too.
I think in a lot of the ways that I often describe video games as the best ones being the most holistic of experiences, where everything from the art to the aesthetics, the tone, the narrative, the music, and all of that also meshes with the gameplay itself, all to create one holistic experience. And I think the difficulty in Souls is important because they want you to feel like you are in an oppressive environment. And the thing that I always think about, it always comes to my mind with Souls, is my very first experience was Bloodborne. After not really wanting to play, I watched a friend play Dark Souls when it came out, and I didn't really want to engage with it. Looked hard, didn't like the way that he played the play style that looked like it was, and all of these things. But I took a chance on Bloodborne because PS4 had no games, and I spent 8 hours in Central Yharnam, New Yharnam,
Central Yharnam, or Old Yharnam, perhaps.
Not Old. So in Central Yharnam specifically, I spent 8 hours just in that area, trying to get through it, eventually making it to Papa Guac and trying to get past Papa Guac. And all of these things.
I think we've all had that experience at some point or another.
Once I beat him, once I got through the area and I learned how to deal with enemies and how to bait them and not have them all attack me at once, and once I was able to get Papa Guac down and kick his ass, that's the moment it clicked. That's the moment it was like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah, but the issue that I see, and for some people could be, like you said, it took you 8 hours to do that. For a lot of people, putting 8 hours towards a game just for it to click is not going to work for everybody. It's not.
I'll say,
and I think not to say that's a bad thing, but I could see why that like makes people just like, oh, I don't want to play a game for 8 hours just for it to maybe be good to me. You know, I get that. But also,
right.
like,
I think you need to go in almost stubborn, right? And you need to get baited into being stubborn. And I think the games are very good at that, to basically be like, yeah, you're having trouble with the literal first enemy in this game. Like, it is a bit of a get good moment. As much as I hate the whole get good sentiment around these games, because I don't think they're actually as hard as people make them out to be.
Yeah.
I do think there is a little bit of like, you do need to learn the mechanics at the very least. And I think Papa Guac in particular and other Souls games will do this. They'll have a boss very early on that is kind of like a filter, like literally a filter. But also with Papa Guac in particular, what I really like about him is he's like the second or third hardest boss in the game, in my opinion. Like he is very much a boss where if you can beat him, you can beat basically what the rest of the game throws at you.
Yeah, he's like, it's just a very representative experience. Like the skill floor and the skill ceiling are not very far apart. So I'll say this, man. First of all, I think you're absolutely right, Brody. I align with you pretty much every step of the way. On that, I think Sean is also right in that these games might not be for some people. And that's okay. I think that's allowed. I also think that perhaps, and this always comes up in the discussion of like difficulty in these games, right? Which is accessibility. Now, I'm very pro accessibility. I think I would like to leave that sort of to the side for this discussion, because I think that adding, accessibility options to these games is thumbs up, and they should just do that. Because I don't care how that affects the difficulty, right? So it's like accessibility, thumbs up, just do it. I don't care how it affects the difficulty. I'm leaving it out of.
We have seen
this thought, right? Yeah. I'm just
leaving it out of accessibility.
I'm leaving it out of this conversation for the pure fact that it's not really a debate. They have to do it, right?
Yes. I think there's ways to go about it that they are able to do it without actually compromising anything. And I think,
And also, I don't think that matters. But for the point of this discussion, what I will say is, I was socialized on these games, right? So I played video games growing up, but I played like Call of Duty, but not really like a lot, right? And I wasn't very good, and I'm still not very good. And I played Bloodborne. And it was the first game that I played that I was like, oh, like the gameplay is super fun, right? Now because that was the first game that I sort of got all the way through, it became the games that I am better at than other games, right?
Sure.
So I think it's all a matter of perspective, and I think people try to talk about difficulty as if it's objective, as if it's this like black and white objective thing. Oh, these games are difficult or this or that. No, the vibe is different. These are games that are treating you, the player, differently for a narrative reason, and for a point making reason,
to craft a very specific experience.
Right. And I don't think that necessarily means it's difficult. I think that means it's different than what people are used to. Absolutely.
Well, so that does take us, actually, we do have one take actually defending the difficulty that I'd like to read off. Okay. This one says, they make me feel challenged in a game unlike what I'd felt since gaming as a young kid for the first time. Playing your first Souls game feels like what you felt discovering the magic of the medium for the first time. And I 100% resonate with that completely.
Yeah, I resonate with that too.
Like having to learn these games.
Read it one more time, Brody.
They make me feel challenged in the game. Yeah, they make me feel challenged in the game, unlike what I'd felt since gaming as a young kid for the first time. Playing your first Souls game feels like what you felt discovering the magic of the medium for the first time. Like the medium being video games.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it does successfully and easily. Yeah.
And the thing is I would even go as far to say, like, it somehow is able to retain that in each one, because there's nothing like exploring an area in Souls for the first time, right? Like, you play on New Game Plus, you replay the games, you know, or even when you die and you're just running through an area for the second time, like, you know what's coming, and it's not quite as, you know, in whatever, it's not quite that feeling, but that first time you go through, you're checking every corner, you're taking your time, you're going slow, you're observing the environment, or at least if you're learning the tactics that the game wants you to learn to play with, to make your time easier with the games, you're taking your time as you're making your way through the area. By the end of it, when you're doing the boss run backs, you're running past every enemy. You're not looking at a single thing. But that first time, you are looking at
kill everything.
Everything. You have to kill everything. You have to kill everything at least once.
And then everyone goes through the same thing. Every single Soulsborne game. It just happened to me in Lies of P because I'm so pissed about it. Every single Soulsborne game I played, there comes a point where I have a bunch of souls or what have you, and I make it to where right before a boss, I die. Mm-hmm. Okay. I know where to get it. Either I'll like carefully try to go through every enemy to get there again. If I get too low, I'll just go back, what have you, and then heal up and then try to go through it again. Or I'll just try to run and grab the souls. But at some point, I lose like 2 levels in every game because of some stupid reason. And at that point, it's like, you know what? F it. I don't care anymore.
You're walking around with 2 levels on you, bro.
I don't turn around. Listen, it doesn't happen often, but it's going to happen one time. To happen. It happens to everyone at least once, right?
A couple. Like when I'm grinding, like because I used to be like real bad, so I had to level grind a lot.
Like it just happened to me in Lies of P yesterday, where I was like, okay, I know that's at least 2 levels. I got this, and I died, and I was like, okay, nope, turn the game off. And like I went to go make something. Came back, put it back on. I'm like,
yep.
And I think it most often happens if I'm having trouble in a particular area and I'm redoing, like, let's say the first half of that area over and over and over, and I gain a level's worth of souls or even 2, and then I get past that part that was troubling me. But now I'm carrying so many souls, and I'm like, well, I don't want to take these back to the bonfire because I just got past the part that was troubling me. Let me venture forth. How close?
Yep.
Right, I don't know if that thing's gonna respawn. The bonfire has to be so. That point was so hard; it's got to be close. And then you
gotta be like, it's feeling end of level-ish, right? You're like, it's feeling shortcut-ish after a certain point.
And people will criticize the like losing your souls thing, but like it really does create a sense of tension that no other game
Death matters.
Does.
But also,
Death matters.
It helps you realize that like when you lose them the first time, and when you like don't get them back, you just realize, oh, it actually like kind of doesn't matter.
Right, like it literally takes you through like a whole process of emotions. Like it takes you through every stage of grieving, right? Mm-hmm. Like right literally that happens, you lose all of your souls and you're like, no, wait. But you get into acceptance so quickly. Like the game is almost meditative. It has a meditative quality.
100%. Yeah. They're some of the only games I can play and just like chit chat, like, and not have to like really think about it, like for real. 'Cause you can just like, it's just tempo, you know, it's all timing, and we'll get into that. Like I know I talk my hottest take.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know my hottest. You said something that it's coming up, but you know what is coming up, and you know where you listener, dear viewer, can put in your Soulsborne hot takes. That's right. Crub.org/join our public Discord, where you can come and talk to us. Yes, us in the flesh, in the same Discord for absolutely free. Crub.org for all of our audio content. Patreon.com/Crub, where you can throw us a couple dollars if you are enjoying the content. And we have hours and hours and hours of more content just like this, if not better, back there. And folks, It is debatable. But folks, with that, crub.org for everything else, crub.org/join the Discord, patreon.com/crub. One more time. Thank you. Moving on.
Yeah, so what you had just talked briefly, Nico, you mentioned the combat itself, which does take us to our next batch of hot takes. Perfect segue. Yeah. We're going to be talking a little bit more about the actual mechanics themselves rather than just the difficulty. Okay. So we have a few here. One hot take says the games suffer from mechanical stagnation, particularly for multiplayer, and despite many different kinds of weapons, feel almost identical with one or two differences. Bracket, thanks, Weapon Arts. So
is this the one person that played Night Rain?
Wrong. God, maybe.
Wrong.
Maybe.
Wrong.
Well, so we have a take
because that's that's just a crazy, like, it's not a crazy take. Like it like there's validity to it. I think it's perhaps coming from a place of not meeting the games on their terms, which is totally, like, it is what it is. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, if it doesn't click.
So we have sort of not an opposing take, but I think one that I want to get out there because I think it's going to add to this conversation. I think we're about to hit on this anyway. Mm-hmm. This next take says that the games are a masterclass in iteration and adaptation based off of the feeling that the designers want to elicit. And right where Nico just said it, meeting a game on its terms, I think is where this comes in. Because I can kind of see, especially if you've played the early Souls games, I can kind of see the mentality of a lot of these weapons feel similar, right? A lot of them are a sword that you swing or a pole that you poke with.
Right. There's validity to that thought. I just think whoever was asking for multiplayer is perhaps looking for a different game, which is also okay.
Well, so what I found interesting going through and starting with Bloodborne, playing the series day one from there, but then now in the last couple of years, having gone back and played Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, I know in particular Dark Souls 2 has a very, I think still to this day, thriving PvP community, despite being the game that most people are like, that's the black sheep, right? But I know that a lot of people, one of the reasons that it is regarded as a black sheep of sorts is like most of the fights are this kind of 1v1 dueling situation. But I think because of that, the game is very built around 1v1 dueling, which makes the PvP, which is exclusively 1v1 dueling, actually end up feeling very good. So I think if you're a little sour on the multiplayer aspects of Souls, try Dark Souls 2. Because I
1v1 dueling
it's great for that.
Sounds cool. Yeah. Like multiplayer in that way, I've never done that. I don't know that I want to, because that's not what I like about these games, but I could see somebody liking that.
I engage with a little bit of it in every game just to see, right? Just to experiment and get some of the exclusive, there's usually some sort of exclusive resource or Covenant side quest that's tied to it. So I do like just enough to kind of like get whatever those are.
Makes sense.
And yeah, just see how it feels. I did a lot of it in Elden Ring just because it was genuinely very fun.
Yeah.
And so, but the second one here with the masterclass and iteration, I think what is so interesting in going through all of the games, especially if you've played all of them, is you can literally see the evolution, the ways that FromSoft will identify certain playstyles, see what is working, see what isn't, see what is sort of becoming the dominant strategy, and sort of being like, okay, well, we want players to experiment. One of the more interesting effects of the way that I played through the games was I watched my buddy play Dark Souls 1, and he was playing very much the way that I would see people on YouTube afterwards play, where they would behind the shield and let the boss attack, and they would take some stamina, but then he would have an opening and he'd attack back, and, you know, maybe the occasional parry with the shield or whatever, but not like, you know, just like a very defensive play style that to me I didn't really resonate with it. But in playing Bloodborne is a game that clearly FromSoft saw the way that people were predominantly playing with a shield in Souls. And when we have other ways to play in these games, but nobody knows that, so let's take away the shields. Like literally like completely take them away, replace them with a gun that is now your parry button.
And kind of like sped up combat as well.
Right. And like actively rewarding aggression by saying, hey, if you attack fast enough, you get your health back. So you actually want to be tanking attacks and getting your health back rather than just trying to avoid the attacks entirely.
And see, the thing that we're mentioning all this, I don't think either one of you played Night Rain, but Night Rain, you can actually see this progression with each individual character. Like, for example, Duchess plays very much like a Bloodborne character. You can play Raider, who's more like a Dark Souls 1, where you do like poise and what have you, just bellow through attacks.
Poise for the boys.
Yeah, Executioner's Sekiro. But there's so many different iterations that like you kind of see it, and sure they have to like, be sped up and what have you to actually fit, Night Rain's gameplay. But you can see that evolution even right then and there, and they're all viable characters. A lot of people aren't good with Executioner, me included, but like they're all viable and they all still work. And that's the thing that I really also like about Soulsborne is that, Nico, like you said, you can meet the game on its terms, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't
have to. You can be stubborn about it if you want, and the game will let you do that.
I don't block. No, I'll dodge.
I don't block. Right.
I'm heavy roll. I don't care.
Either. Yeah.
I always go lightweight. I always try to be a rolly boy. Nico, obviously, I know you're a parry god.
I'm a parry god.
I don't parry.
But that's because I
don't parry. I sometimes parry.
See, but that's why I don't like your Elden Rings of the world. Like, I feel like, there's a couple reasons that I don't love Elden Ring. Whoever said that Elden Ring was too much, that take, we didn't really get to that. I agree with that. I think Elden Ring is too much.
I really like the idea of them experimenting with what they wanted to in Elden Ring with the idea of the open world.
It seems like they're just going to make that the game going forward, and I'm kind of not. I don't know
about that. We haven't necessarily seen evidence of that specifically.
Yes, we have.
If they do it, they made Armored Core afterwards, and that's very much focused and linear.
Okay,
right?
but I mean, like that's going to be all the like Souls games, like whenever they make
I don't even know. I think FromSoft switches it up enough that I don't think we've seen the last of a more linear experience.
Okay, I'll trust you.
But to that though, I think that where Elden Ring does lose me a little bit is with a lot of the asset reuse.
Yeah, me too.
That's a fair criticism.
It's the samey looking
mainly
dungeons and the reuse of bosses. In particular, the one that was really egregious to me is
Astel.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one
sucked.
That one's ridiculous.
Like but also the thing is, it's a big enough game anyway. We don't need 10 of the same thing. Like all of the individual assets of like just bosses alone, they have so much game. They don't need.
That game genuinely could have probably been about like 40% smaller and been just as tight and rewarding an experience.
And it still would have been just as big and just as beloved.
Meanwhile, the DLC doesn't really use a lot of... I mean, there's still some assets, but it's not as egregious as the base game. Which
How does the DLC work, Sean? Is it another like open world area?
Yeah, but like it's another open world area, but like you level up differently in that place. Like you have to level up by like grabbing like not fruit, crazy something. Yeah. So it's one of those
specific level up item. That's interesting.
Because everyone dealt with the same issue where they're like, oh, I'm like level 200, and then they go into this one little area, and it's like, oh, this Black Knight guy, cool, and he just shows up with like a crossbow, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, and it just starts immediately like just gunning you down.
I see. So they made leveling up actually counterintuitively easier but more limited.
They made it like, okay, you're still the same level, but also like these give you different strengths and what have you.
Interesting.
So like it was a way that like really incentivized you to, you know, go everywhere, but also at the same time, you couldn't just like, you know, be such a strong, but also I'm on like New Game Plus 7. Yeah. So it might just be that my game's super difficult.
No, that's fair.
That could be a symptom.
That's crazy. I've never got into that. I've like always started fresh save files.
So so actually that brings us to, there is a hot take in the middle here that I didn't necessarily know how to throw in, but it says specifically this is praise one. It's an attention to replayability. Sections aren't meant to be played just once at a specific power level, but have different challenges and approaches for different stages of the game, which can be seen in so many different ways, right? Like the idea of Central Yarnum in Bloodborne being the area that you're going to go back to when you're very high level in order to farm bullets. And you're going to run through that level so quickly compared to the first time you went through it. Like, it's not going to take you 8 hours. It's going to take you 8 seconds.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, it's crazy.
Crazy.
Playing these games the second time is where the fun is.
Which is something I eventually wanted to. I've never done it personally. I've never done a New Game Plus, but
Really?
No, never. And I've never replayed any of the games. I'm coming up on maybe replaying Bloodborne, like, because I'm finally like at the end of the cycle. I think I got to finish my Dark Souls 2 playthrough first, but like, yeah, I think
I did one New Game Plus, and it was Dark Souls 3.
I think the easiest game to New Game Plus is actually Elden Ring, funny enough, because it's like, you know where to go, you know where to do everything. But also, the one thing that, like, I love Elden Ring. The one thing that I want to really, like, point out real quick, with because we talked a little bit about multiplayer and what have you. I think Elden Ring has the best multiplayer when it comes to Soulsborne, because you just need an item, and you can just run around with your friend the entire time. And
it's the only one that's viable. Like,
yes, the games have been notoriously obtuse about how they do multiplayer, and that is something that FromSoft has been very slow to address. But obviously, they're trying to with stuff like Night Rain, with stuff like Duskbloods.
Yeah,
they're experimenting.
I'm interested to see how Duskbloods is, because like it's not just because it's a PvPvE. Because like, for example, like a character you're gonna pick. It might be like hey, you have to help this character reach this position, or like, hey, try not to get killed by this person, or what have you. There's like different ways to play it rather than just, kill the boss and what have you, which I was really interested in. Sorry, just wanted to throw that out there.
No,
I've got 2 more takes with regards to combat and weapon stuff. So they're very quick, and I think they'll play into what we're gonna say here.
I have some nuance about the combat that I would like to share. So
yes, so this is an appraisal here, says they like the ability to customize character abilities, which we've touched on a little bit with the different builds you can do. But also someone saying that there is a lack of clarity on what character stats do.
True,
which I would say is true, especially when you're starting out, when you're playing these games for the first time, and playing into everything that we've talked about. I think there is no better example across the entire Souls series than the way that the magic systems work.
Yep.
Because I was told for a lot of my Souls playing career that, never do magic on a first playthrough. Magic is so hard and so obtuse.
Yeah,
don't do it.
And then the worst thing in all the games.
But then I played Elden Ring.
Except for Elden Ring.
Right. And that's the thing. Or Elden Ring specifically takes this, there's always this progression through the games of different things they want to incentivize, different things they want to have you experiment with, stuff that has, in some case, dominant strategies like shields and Bloodborne, but in some case, strategies that just don't see a lot of play use, right? And in Elden Ring, the answer to that question is magic, and so many of the collectibles in that game are new spells.
Yeah,
and
new
all of those
spells
things
that are like actually good, and like
they actively want you to be playing with it, and they actively want you to be leveling up your faith or your intelligence in order to play with these systems.
Yeah, I just was like, I'm gonna get my Arcana up so I can make people bleed more.
God. Right. And like they even give you like the abilities. Like I was sort of a battle mage. I used the Twin Blade, which was a dex weapon, but I was able to augment it to scale with faith instead, so I could dual wield the Twin Blade with magic. And
I
was
also
just an
used
absolute
the Twin Blade.
I love the Twin Blade. Like when I started playing Dark Souls 2 and I realized I had a Twin Blade finally in the series, I was like, yes, my baby.
Well, like the funny thing is, like, I don't know if it's Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls 2, but like I think it's Dark Souls 1 where like the Pyromancer being that is just, it's hard to get to, once you hit that line, just destroy everything.
Well, so but the problem with it, right? The problem with being magic is the slow burn, is the fact that like, yeah, you can be a mage, but it's like, you're not going to be able to fight like the first boss or whatever. Like, like if you want to do a magic, like an arcane build in Bloodborne, you have to fight Papa Guac like bare bones.
Well, so that's really why I like doing the battle mage dual wield approach, and it's also why I'm so interested in eventually going back to Bloodborne, because the thing that's so interesting to me is the way that Elden Ring taught me how the magic systems work, and then when I went back and played Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2 for the first time, these games that so many people played with behind a shield, and I'd been told, oh, you can be the roly boy or you can be the parry boy. I realized that, oh no, I can be the dual wield roly boy plus mage. Like, now that Elden Ring has taught me how to use these systems, now I can go into these games where they are perhaps a bit more obtuse and not as well communicated, but I know what they are and I know how to use. I did all of my first playthroughs in those games with magic, and the funniest part about it is how much easier they make the games. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
To the point where I'm like, oh, they wanted people to be using magic the entire time.
But
like,
no,
clearly.
If you figure out
really
a Bloodborne magic build, Brody, please let me know. Because
yeah,
I need,
I am really interested to see if I can.
I always forget. I'll be honest. I always forget that magic is in that game.
Yeah, it's very bare bones in that one. Like that
to
one
be
is.
fair, though, I just Kirkhammer that.
Yeah. Well,
did I tell you that story?
Me too.
Like,
I'm a Kirkhammer girly.
So like me and my friends, we were gonna do a drunk Souls where like every time you died, everyone had to take a drink. So like I made these like really strong mixed drinks. And so I made a character in Bloodborne called Dr. Pappy Smear, where I put all of my points into strength. He had a violent past. And I was like, okay, cool. So like, once you die, everyone drinks. But the person who died has to, 1, 2, 3.
Until the next person dies?
No, just 1, 2. Like you take a 3-second thing. Okay, next person plays, blah, blah, blah. But if you beat a boss, everyone takes a shot. Except for you.
Oh, nice. Good game.
Best run I've ever done in my entire life. No idea how to replicate it. I started the game. I beat the first 2 bosses. I beat the Cleric Beast and Father Guacamole.
Yeah.
And didn't die.
Crazy.
I was playing for like 2 hours and I'm like, I don't understand. I can't.
I just can't lose.
I was like, I can't. And they're like, Sean, just die. I'm like, no, I'm doing good. I can't die.
No,
this is the best run I've ever done.
There's crazy stories. I have a buddy of mine that beat like the wolf on the first try barehanded, like stuff like that, and didn't know that he had to die in order to like get the level ups going and things like that. First time I played, he ended up messaging us. He's just like, guys, when do I level up? It's so funny.
That's crazy.
You just have to reach a certain point. You don't have to die to level up.
Yeah. Well, so
what I thought.
Bringing up bosses, I want to get into some takes we have on bosses.
I have
because we're running long, but I think we can get through these.
I just have a quick nuance that I need to share about the combat. Is that Sekiro is probably my favorite gameplay wise because it's more of a rhythm game than the other ones.
That is the parry god game. That is the one where they want you to be the parry god and they will not accept anything else.
All of them are rhythm games. And I mean that in that whenever a boss is winding up, you literally just have to learn like 1, 2, 3, 4 dodge, right? Like, so that's like in music, that's how you count music. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Like it's just a tempo, and it's like it doesn't have to be the same one as mine, but like even if it's like 1, 2, 3. Right? Like if you have your own timing in your head, it's a rhythm game. It's a rhythm game. And and especially Sekiro, to Brody's point, because it's ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, hit. Right? So
I see it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have some takes on the bosses themselves.
Okay.
So we have sometimes bosses or encounters can feel more like experiments or brick walls, see Bed of Chaos, than compelling or fun in their own right. This isn't always a negative, however, and may fit in the narrative or the experience. We have a take right after that, talking about a similar thing. They say, hot take alert, I miss the gimmicks and weird stuff bosses would do. Demon Souls had you deal with Phalanx, which required separating out many blobs, or Storm King, which was just a spectacle fight with you using the Tornado Sword. Dark Souls 2 and on are pretty much exclusively just one-on-ones with ever-increasing combo strings. I don't mind it being the default, but I miss having some truly oddball stuff that requires you to think like an adventurer and solve the puzzle of the boss. And then a third take we have here is bosses are puzzles which expect you to learn the response to each individual attack, and I think that's pretty cool. Gets the player to consider different parts of their kit.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a lot like Guitar Hero because if you see them doing one thing, you have to press the correct button at the correct time.
Right. And so there are many bosses like that. I think something that these takes are hitting on is a lot of those a lot of early Souls bosses, and there are still some now and then.
Yeah, not as many that like are more deep and what have you.
Right, more that are trying to be set pieces or be memorable for some way. There's a really cool one in Demon Souls. There's like a lava spider in like the second area, and it has like the worst, either the second worst or absolute worst run back in the series, which Demon Souls has.
Yeah, that's
both
one
of
the worst run backs. I don't like that one.
There's a thing if you're paying attention and you're reading item descriptions and you're reading about the boss and all of these things, you can learn that boss is actually deaf. Or actually not deaf, it's blind and can only see you based on the sound you make. So if you wear a specific ring that dampens that makes you silent when walking around, you can actually get much closer to the boss before it will start engaging with you, and it gives you a big up on the boss fight. And there's a lot of little, just tiny little things, right? Like in Bloodborne, perfect example is if you do that side mission with the girl in the window and end up getting the music box, you can use that on Papa Guac, and it makes his first phase way easier. The trade-off being it makes his second phase activate sooner. So you have to play with that. But like, there's so many little nuances and storytelling moments in these bosses that are a bit more like puzzles that does get a bit lost when it is an entire game of, do the rhythm game. I love do the rhythm game, but I also love these bosses too. So I understand,
like the Abyss Watchers and
I understand the frustration at them kind of going away. The last boss take that we have, though, just to throw it in there because I haven't played this, and I think you guys will have more to say on it, says, my extra spicy hot take is that without the ringed city, Dark Souls 3 is the weakest entry in the Dark Souls trilogy, even with its much higher quality bosses compared to the other two games.
I have not played Dark Souls 2, so I can't say... No, I know, but I haven't played Dark Souls 2, so I can't say with certainty where it ranks.
Gotcha.
But I can say that I did enjoy the experience of playing Dark Souls 3.
I think it a lot.
To this person's point, it is much different than the likes of Dark Souls 1, where Dark Souls 1 is more coiled snake design. There's more verticality. You can kind of like everything like loops back in on itself. There's this Metroidvania-ness to it where you have to go back, to Fire Link, and everything kind of connects to Fire Link. And then there's that latter section of the game where you can do a couple things. You have a choice to do a couple things all at once, like at any time, in any order. And I do think they got back to that in a game like Sekiro, where you have multiple paths pretty much at any time. There's like one part of the game of Sekiro where it like branches off into 4 areas that you can go do, or 3 or 4 things you can go do. Dark Souls 3 didn't have that. Dark Souls 3 was like more linear, and it had like pathways that you would go down and like fight a little boss there and come back.
You come back, yeah.
There's
more backtracking, I'd say, but
the bosses are better by a lot.
I would say
the bosses are better by a lot than Dark Souls 1.
I can see why some people would feel that way with Dark Souls 3 without the Ring City, because the Ring City is like a great DLC.
Ring City is good.
I think it makes the overall experience better, but I still think Dark Souls 3 being the weakest of the 3 just doesn't work for me, because I also played Dark Souls. The first game I ever played in the Soulsborne series was Dark Souls 2. And so like I played that like day one because my one friend got it and came over and he's like, hey, you never played Dark Souls, here you go. And I'm like, you sure? He's like, yeah. And we actually played Drunk Souls that day, which that's when I learned fall damage was a thing in Dark Souls games. And then I also learned, hey, maybe I shouldn't attack this random knight laying on the ground by a tree, because I wanted to see what would happen. And that kind of ruined a lot of stuff. But because I played the jankiness of Dark Souls 2. And sure, they make it a lot better with, a lot of the patches, what have you. But, and I not to like dog on Dark Souls 2 because a lot of people do, but I still think Dark Souls 3 as a whole is better than 1 and 2. And I think, actually, hot take, Dark Souls 1 without the Artorias DLC I think that's a much weaker game than Dark Souls 3 without any of their DLC.
I'm aligned with that.
The final third of that game is not a video game. They just threw it together as slapdash as they could.
Yeah, because a lot of people only like look at like Dark Souls 1 with the DLC.
Yeah.
Or
which
even,
is
I haven't played the DLC, but that first half of Dark Souls 1 is immaculate. Like, fantastic.
You haven't played like,
and then the
like
second half
Artorias,
like,
Brody? It comes with like the remaster of the game, I think. You haven't played
I think I went into it and I got hard gated at the first boss, but I was so excited to kind of get to 2 after I beat 1 that I was like, I just want to do 2.
Did you do Sif's fight
in the main game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just making sure. I couldn't remember if that was DLC or not, because I know Artorias himself is DLC, but
if you defeat Artorias before you defeat Sif, I think you get a special cutscene.
You do. Actually, no, it's if you go back in time and fight Magnus.
Oh, true. Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. It's when you fight
Magnus, you get the thing, because you actually go back in time with where you see a young Sif being protected by Artorias, because that was his last thing that he did.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You get the cutscene after that.
We have a couple final hot takes with regards to the mechanics specifically.
Yeah. Okay.
Both of them deal with another very common point of contention in these games, a point of a contention when it comes to accessibility as well. They say, I dislike the inability to pause the game in several cases without leaving yourself exposed. Someone follows this up by saying, sometimes I need to answer the door, take a sudden phone call, or use the washroom, and I would appreciate not having to return to the campfire due to the lack of a pause button, all caps. Elden Ring had a quasi-exploit at launch, no idea if it's been patched out, that lets the player forcibly pause the game by accessing a tutorial screen, and the sky didn't fall as a result of it. But these two people very much want a pause button in these games. I know that's a big thing with Souls games. A lot of people don't like it.
I don't get why we don't have them. I have no clue. And I think it is weird that they don't, and I think they in fact should.
I think I agree to an extent. Like, if it's an online game, like, obviously, if you're online...
That's a different thing when you're like, but when you're playing in offline mode specifically, like, you can boot Bloodborne up or Dark Souls 3 up in offline mode. And like, why is there no pause button, you know?
Yeah, I think it might be like, because you don't want people to like...
But even then, it's a PvE, it's a single player game. If you don't have the item activated, they should let you pause it.
There might be ways to like, frame like iframes or what have you. Like, okay, I pause here. Now, like, I know, okay, I'll do this move instead and what have you. Maybe just mess with the flow. I don't know.
Can't pause it during a boss fight, or can't pause it if you're like, if enemies are like on you, right? Like, that's like the solution is that like, if there's hostiles actively engaged on you, then you can't pause it. But like, if you're just not in combat, then who cares?
Yeah, I can see it, and I can see the argument either way, right? Like, obviously, the no pausing thing, there isn't like a totally valid, like, super 100% like ironclad reason. But I think there are some like potentially, I think a lot of video games suffer from pause exploits. And I think they're wanting to get around that potentially.
Yeah, especially with all the glitches they have in these games. I could see that.
So I kind of see it. Moving on then to the last section that we have here, we have audience questions. These are questions that I asked if anyone has questions for us specifically pertaining to Souls games that they could go ahead and ask. And so we have quite a few here, so we'll try to run through them. The first one, do you have a favorite or underappreciated music track? My hidden gem is Regal Ancestor Spirit from Elden Ring.
That's a good one.
I think we have to immediately talk about like Plin Plin Plon.
That's my favorite. Yeah, that's my favorite is Plin Plin Plon.
That one, gosh, I will never forget doing the final fight in Dark Souls 3. And like, it's every, character and what have you, but then the pling pling plong, that is storytelling with music to a T.
And that's Dark Souls 1 as well, right?
Oh, Pling Pling
Plim
Plong
Plim Plon is
Gwyn.
Dark Souls. Yeah, it's Gwyn, but they bring it back in Dark Souls.
They do the motif in Dark Souls 3
3
with the final boss whenever you fight the Lord of Cinder, I think. No.
Yeah,
and I think that one is
Soul of Cinder.
That one is definitely
Soul of Cinder.
Soul of Cinder. That's definitely a crowd favorite, I think, for sure. Underappreciated ones, I'll be honest, I love video game music, and I don't think I've ever taken the time to actually listen to Souls music on its own to actually know what any of the titles are.
Dude, there's one really good one in Lies of P, but I forget what it's called.
Feels.
Feel is good. Feels a banger.
Feels is fantastic. I
Feels
literally have that on loop
That's
in
what
my
it
hub.
is.
Feels
on
a
loop in my
banger.
hub. I do not listen to any of the others in my hub.
There's another one that Kevin shared with me that's like a remix of a song from another game that this company did, which is like, and that one's a banger. I don't listen to the music in the Souls games generally because I'm too locked in. I need metal, and also like not for anything. Yeah, again, orchestral music's just not for me.
I like the Cleric Beast theme.
It's for some other folk, and I know I've like made it before, and it's cool and it's great, but it really do just be those like particular instruments, and that's all well and good. That's super cool.
Yeah, I think I can't.
Sorry, one second, Brody. My bad. Yeah. Not that these people aren't incredibly talented, musicians and who've honed their craft, but it is just not for Nico. So that's why I don't have a particularly favorite track. Although feels up there.
Feels great.
It's so good.
I will say that I can't pinpoint any one track, but I think if I was going to give special recognition to any of them, it would be just Sekiro, because I feel like those songs are so designed to be like with your parrying. You know what I mean? Like you're parrying while fighting, and it all kind of like syncs up, and it's great.
And the Sekiro music is the only one that's like kind of different from the rest of them.
Right, exactly. It's got its own sort of identity with its soundtrack. Sean, did you have an underappreciated one?
I think the Cleric.
Yeah,
Cleric Beast theme. Yeah.
Our next question we have here, it's not really a question. Someone just put, Brody put Bloodborne in a platformer video a while back, and I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, that deserves to be pointed out.
Well, that is in recognition of I had done a platformer video way back when, 2016, something like that.
Gosh, before I even did YouTube.
2017, I think, maybe. And this, I was at a point where I was talking about the Crash and Sane trilogy, and then I used Twinsanity. I talked about that for a little bit. During that entire segment, I did not put any Crash Bandicoot footage. I put Dark Souls trilogy footage for when I was talking about Insane, and I put Bloodborne footage for when I was talking about Twinsanity. This was all happening, obviously, right off the heels of that one infamous article that said Crash Bandicoot is the Dark Souls of platformers, which I think has a larger topic. Like what was that? What was that? That was a moment in time that happened.
Yeah,
it happened, and they let
honestly.
It happen.
I say a lot of the time that Dark Souls is the drumming of video games, but like I know I'm wrong because the Rock Band exists.
Gosh.
So like,
gosh,
who cares what anybody says, man? I really, it does not matter. One bit. But that's so funny though, using the Dark Souls clips in the video for that.
I love that.
I didn't point it out. Did not point, like, I did not recognize it in the
you need to
in the script at all, because I decided it after the fact when I was editing. Our next question we have, let's get weird. What household item would you like to see as a Souls boss? If that's too hard, which franchises would you like to see be given the Souls-like treatment? Obviously, that one person, Banjo-Kazooie, right? That one person said Transformers, Rayman, and Nickelodeon, which are, I think, some wild pulls. Banjo-Kazooie is also a wild pull. Sean, actually, what does a Banjo-Kazooie Souls game look like?
Well, you're going to Treasure Trove, and now it's like, that crab that you fought forever ago, now they're there. Or maybe you have to fight the big hippo on like his ship again.
Banjo also looked kind of depression coded to me. Like,
you have a witch that's trying to kill people.
I've only seen the witch like fights essentially. So like,
you have to go get bottles of soul back, and you have to go to the underworld or what have you.
Right.
But also, I feel like Banjo-Kazooie could also really work as an RPG. But here's another thing. Actually, you saying that, Kellogg's brands. go smite Tony the Tiger.
Wow.
The keys
Tony the
are
Tiger,
like rolling things at you like down the street.
Tony the Tiger would rip as a Souls, like a Tiger like Souls boss.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's like that. There's this image that somebody shared with me one time of a tiger that's like cooking crack on a stove. It's like a buff tiger cooking crack on a stove.
I think. Did I send you that?
No,
I feel
it wasn't
like
you.
That's something that I would have.
I know who it was, and it wasn't you.
Can you send me it?
I can try and find it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can try and find. It's like a furry image, like as far as I can tell. But it was just it was shared with me, and it's just so funny.
I need that.
It's just so funny.
When I read this question, my immediate thought, and I don't know why, but when it said household item, my immediate thought went to like a default, like just a wooden table. And then from there, I thought like, there's that game that's out or is coming out or might be out called Date Everything, which is a dating sim game where you can literally every single object in that house you can date, fully voice acted, absolutely insane concept of a game. I want fight everything, and it's Souls, and you can you fight the table, you fight the couch, you fight the doorknob, fight your TV.
Yeah, I'm in on that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I want to fight everything.
So I don't know about an item that I would turn into a boss fight, but I do want to see a cast iron skillet as like a strength weapon.
Oh,
that would be great. Like a huge cast iron skillet. Like when you hold it over your shoulder and it's just one big cast iron skillet, and you just
honestly, that feels like such a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Or you hold it like, or actually you hold it like back like down behind you, and you like do the greatsword animation with it, where you like pull it up over your head and bonk people with it, and like it slams smaller enemies into the ground.
I have a D&D game where like one of my players is actually a barbarian who's also like a cook.
Right.
And so they're a baker. And so instead of like using like actual like great swords and what have you, they just have like a great roller that they use.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that'd be cool. That's super cool. I want to see I want to see drumsticks as a dex weapon.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see drumsticks.
These are fantastic. Like,
I like that.
I think we should make fight everything, and those are all the weapons in the game, and then the other ones are all the bosses.
Everything.
Like,
fight everything.
I think that would be great.
Everything. I think every boss you defeat has to then also be a weapon, right?
Yeah,
we got boss weapons.
God, that's a good point. We'll talk about it, I think, a little more in the post show, but I think Lies of P does play a little bit with it, where they have like they have the chef's knife and the clock hand and all of those things.
I'll give one shout out to Lies of P in general. I think all three of us really like that game. I don't really want to go into the nuance of it, which we will in the post show, but the game itself, I think, is one of, like, if not the best Souls game made since Dark Souls 3.
I'd say it's one of the best.
We'll go into that in a bit. I'll move on. So our next question, and when we're Chris, when you're editing this, get ready. I have to read this. It's I'm legally obligated to read this as written, so get ready with the beep. Why is Bloodborne the best one? And if it isn't, f*** you.
Right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, swear jar onius, but why is Bloodborne the best one? I think because it has the perfect mix of fast-paced gameplay, a really well-structured and well-paced world, super badass and cool enemy designs that you want to fight, and a world that is different enough from ours while still being digestible, along with an aesthetic that, all emos really connect with, which is sort of a Plague Doctor type beat.
Yeah, and like narratively, like it mixes two disparate concepts into one thing, right? It mixes that gothic,
it's the new metal
Victorian
of gaming
with the eldritch, like Lovecraftian horror side of things.
Yeah,
mixes two versions of very stylistic horror together, and I think that's
two
really
equally
cool.
important things.
And it does so with incredible pacing. Right? Mm-hmm. On that, like I talked earlier in the episode about the reveal and how they pace that reveal. It's literally like pitch perfect. I don't think I've seen a better like reveal told through gameplay paced so perfectly in a game.
And I align with you for what it's worth.
It's such a good twist because it's like, oh, this goes from a gothic horror in London to like eldritch horror.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And now there's space and what?
Yeah,
what?
Incredible. And obviously, like the other Souls games play with those themes, especially after Bloodborne. We do see more of that Lovecraftian influence come in with stuff like Elden Ring. Or even with stuff like Sekiro goes a little bit more into the Japanese myth of it all with the centipedes and things like that. That very supernatural kind of stuff, which is really cool. I think Bloodborne is probably the one that just it hit for a lot of people at the right time and was one of the first games to really do Lovecraftian horror in a way that I think resonated. Not that it didn't exist beforehand, because it definitely did, but that was the one that I think really got it into the zeitgeist.
It was a good bait and switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I think Bloodborne is just, it has a lot that resonates. I think if I was ever going to recommend somebody to play a Souls game for the first time, it probably would be Bloodborne. And sure, that probably has a lot of bias because it was also my first one. It's the one that got me into it. So I know it has those capabilities.
I can't these days, dude. It's Lies of P now because, gosh, like for a myriad of reasons, I think it's just easier to access. Like if you don't have a PS4 or a PS5,
sure.
You know, so I would, it's Lies of P for me. It's a little more beginner friendly, I think, for a number of reasons. But
I'd argue both of these points for Elden Ring. So
no, not one bit. Elden Ring is not a good first one to play. You're not getting the experience.
So weirdly, Nico, though, that I kind of agree with you, but I also think there is data. There is actively data.
Yeah, there's actively numbers.
Wrong.
Right. I'm like old man yells at cloud. I understand. But I know what people like about it.
And the thing with Elden Ring is like the thing that I think helped a lot of people, because I talked to people that like just started Elden Ring as like their first Soulsborne game. A lot of people were like, yeah, I really like that. Like, okay, I would get, my face handed to me, but then I could go run off and do something else, level up, and then come back to that. Or I could go do something else completely different and then come back to whatever. And so I think it not being super linear was helpful for a lot of people.
It was.
Whereas, Soulsborne veterans are like, hey, the piss.
Yeah. I'm like, where's my structured difficulty?
Yeah.
Right.
But so this takes
purposeful progression.
We have a question specifically about Elden Ring. That says, this is from, I think, someone that they gave us the Elden Ring take earlier. It says, regarding what I said about Elden Ring's bloatedness, would you prefer FromSoft continue their games in Elden Ring's Breath of the Wild inspired direction?
Not one bit.
Or would you prefer that they return to the more structured inline design with Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne?
Yes,
we answered that a little bit earlier, obviously. Well, we answered the pros and cons in different ways. I don't think Nico obviously has his stance very obvious. Sean and I don't think you and I really said like what we said what it brings to the table and what it doesn't, but I don't think we said which do we prefer? Which do you prefer?
So Elden Ring is one of my favorite games of all time. It's a top 25 game for me. Love it. Love the open world. Love being able to explore everything. But even with that said, I don't think that I would like more Soulsborne games, like actually FromSoft games, being in that style. I would prefer more linear. If they were to go like, okay, which route are they going to go? I prefer more linear from FromSoft compared to like the open. Like when I think of linear, I'm also like kind of including Armored Core, because they did have like those open areas, but it was still very linear. It's like, okay, here's the mission, go do the mission. Like they set you in that area and then you go do the thing. I think they can do both. And like I said, Elden Ring is top 25 game for me, but I would like more linear games if they had to choose one over the other. I would prefer that.
I'm aligned. Yeah. And also, I'm fine with them doing both. I am fine with them just doing both.
Yeah. I like both, but if I had to pick one, I would choose the linearity.
I think, folks like myself, like I get anxious because I'm like, oh God, they're just going to like take this and they made them a lot of money, which it did. And they're just going to keep doing it. But to Brody's point, they changed things up enough that like, I probably shouldn't be scared of that. Like I probably should be just like, it'll probably be fine. Like everything that they've touched that I've played, like I've really enjoyed. I did enjoy Elden Ring as much as I'm like, as much as it's not my favorite, like as much as I don't like it as a Souls game.
Yeah.
I did enjoy it. Sorry, Brody, you meant to give your.
Oh, you're good. So I'm going to do that thing where I straddle the line between the answers because I think that there does exist some sort of happy medium. Well, so this is the thing, right? If these are the opposite sides of the spectrum on how open a Souls game could be versus how linear it is, I think there's a happy medium, but I don't think that happy medium is like a 50%. I think there are two different potential styles of games, one at like the 25% and one at like the 75% of that spectrum. And I think what I mean by that is, I think there's a version of Elden Ring that is smaller and less bloated, but still open, right? Of like maybe something like Erdtree. I haven't played it yet. I really want to, but I haven't had the opportunity. Where it is an open world, but still smaller, and everything is unique and bespoke, and not this kind of copy paste content everywhere just to like kind of bloat the game,
just to keep you playing the game.
Exactly. That doesn't feel good. But the idea of like a really well crafted, and I think that those, even Elden Ring, as much as I on the dungeons, I do think that the open world itself, the overworld, is very well designed in that kind of Breath of the Wild style way of, yes, this is an open world, but no, they did not just go into a terrain. They didn't go into the Mod Nation Racers track editor and just up and down the terrain a bunch. They actually deliberately, here's a thing in the distance you can see that you want to go to. Here's we're breadcrumbing you. We're leading you places. We're having verticality up and down and all of these things. And so I think there's value to that. I would like to see them just do a smaller, more focused version of that. The other side of it is I would love the more linear style of Soulsborne game, right? The Dark Souls or the Bloodborne or the Sekiro, which Sekiro is very much that, but it adds the verticality. I think that's really cool. I want to see them go push the kind of Metroidvania of it all just a little bit further, have more, not necessarily optional paths, but not optional in the sense that you will kind of get to them all eventually, but more ways for people to make their way, still being a linear kind of style game, but more ways for people to make their way through it in different orders, right?
Okay.
Like where someone will go, oh, I just made it to this area, and someone else will respond like, I didn't even know that area existed, but I'm at this area, and then that other person will respond back like, I didn't even know that area existed yet. Like,
I'm familiar with you there, Brody.
Like Jarberg. Not a lot of people even know that Jarberg or Jarsburg is a thing.
Yeah,
God.
Jarberg.
God.
Yeah, no, Jarberg was a good area. I agree with you, Brody. I think that's a super cool idea. I think they should take that and run with it. I miss my intentional level design. Gosh darn it.
So at the end of the day, I still very much want that intentional level design. 100%.
It's so intentional.
Yeah. I miss my coiled snake level design.
So we have two more questions. The second last one is another one directed at me. It says, Brody, why is it that you leave Soulsborne games to the final boss and never complete them? Which is a bad habit of mine.
Have you what?
I've played most of these games all the way to the end, but officially speaking, I have never beaten Bloodborne. I have never beaten Bloodborne's DLC, despite getting to the final boss in both of those. I have never beaten Sekiro. I stopped at the end of Act 2 at Owl. I have never beaten Elden Ring because I beat
Owl.
I beat Marika, but I did not beat Elden Beast. In part because Radigan
is fair.
In part, in that specific instance, it was because I figured there was DLC coming, and I didn't want to have to like play more into New Game Plus to access it.
You did tell us that at the time too. You did tell us that at the time as well.
And I'm letting you know this now, Brody. I mean this in the nicest way possible, and maybe this will actually force you to do it. I don't see you, if you do go to the DLC for Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, I do not see you beating that final boss.
I'll probably find some reason to be like, right now I'm waffling on Lies of P. I'm in the final area, but like I'm not. I haven't played in a few days.
The final boss in Lies of P is good. You'll like them. They're
never beat Bloodborne, Sekiro. I beat Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, that one. The Soul of Cinder is, for my money, one of the easier final bosses. Gwyn's the easiest. Gwyn being the absolute easiest. That was just like I beat Gwyn in 30 seconds.
I think first try. Well, you didn't play Dark Souls 2, that's why. And that's another thing that I really like that Dark Souls does is, again, they hype up these people. Like even in Dark Souls 2, like the big, you think like the final boss or like the person who's controlling a lot of stuff in Dark Souls 2 is like this big, crazy boss. No, it's just some little I don't even know what to.
Yeah, it's like a worm,
a blob thing, and it's like, oh, I think you can kill it in like one hit, and that's it. But I like that because again, it's FromSoft like twisting and turning. I like how they do that stuff. But go on.
I have beaten Demon Souls, but I think they did a funny there where the final boss is not a real boss, so they tricked me into beating the game.
Yeah, I mean, the Demon Souls is the easiest of all of them overall.
By a wide margin.
By a wide margin.
With the exception of like the two really bad runbacks, but yeah.
Yeah, with the exception of the runbacks, true.
Yeah, and I've beaten Dark Souls 1, but then I started the DLC and didn't really go into it. I am halfway through Dark Souls 2. I intend to get back to that one. Because I still have runway in that game to like remember the controls before I have to like hit my head against a boss. So I plan on going back to that one. But I am notorious. Even Hollow Knight, one of my favorite games of all time, Silksong coming out soon. Like, I have never beat the final boss in Hollow Knight. I've never gotten the true ending because I've never bothered to beat the final boss.
You do talk about it a lot for never having beaten it. That's really funny.
These are games that I love. They're some of my favorite games of all time, and I just don't beat them because I fall off for some reason or another. Bloodborne, it was because I had school, and
the final bosses like always get to me too. Like I had that problem the first time I played Bloodborne, but then I did go back and beat it. But like then ever since then I've pretty much committed and gotten through all of it, right? So like I just like with, like Lies of P, I just got to the final boss. I thought I was going to give it up, but I ended up just finishing it because I was like, you know what? I was like, I don't want this in the backlog. I don't want this.
I gotta finish it.
I was like, I don't want to eat this L. Like, that's not an L that I can eat right now.
No.
Yeah. Well, so I would like to.
Oh, the final question.
I would like to throw out our final question, which here we go. The final question we have is, why is Lies of P better than any Souls game?
Wrong.
And if you want to know, you can find out in a special upload dropping next week.
Yeah, if you want to know, you can find out in the post show, twitch.tv/crub_official. Folks, thank every single one of you for listening to us. Shouts out to everyone who supports us on Patreon. Come join our Discord. It is free, crub.org/join, crub.org for everything else. Find us at Crub Official on everything else. And with that, folks, you are now leaving
the
Love show you. That continues to get worse week over week. We will see you in the next one. We love you. For Crub, I've been Nico. This has been Brody.
I'm Sean.
And this has been Sean.
Yeah.
These takes have been spicy, but
catch you next time.
Spicier.
I don't like that.